Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are talking about Last Night in Soho.
Everyone's waiting for you. Do you believe in ghosts?
So Last Night in Soho is directed by Edgar Wright, and in the film we see Thomasin McKenzie. She plays Eloise, an aspiring fashion designer obsessed with the 1960s who attends school in Soho to pursue her dreams. We find out that Eloise is able to transport herself back to the 60s, where she ends up encountering Anya Taylor-Joy's Sandy, and while things seem glamorous at first, they soon turn a lot darker. So you guys know, if you follow the channel for a while now, that Last Night in Soho has been one of my most anticipated movies of 2021. It was one of my most anticipated movies like last year as well, but it got bumped back. So I've been really looking forward to this. Anytime that Anya Taylor-Joy is in a film, I'm definitely there. She's like one of my favorite, actresses right now. I followed her career since she's been in The Witch. So I was really excited to see this. Plus you got, Thomasin McKenzie, you got Edgar Wright, directing it. So and just like the trailer, it looked really, really cool. So I was really looking forward to this one. And I was able to actually catch an early, screening of this at the AMC theater. And I got to see it in Dolby. And that was a really fun experience. And I'll talk more about that later. But we'll go ahead and, start off with things that I liked about this film. So first off, the cinematography in this film, the costumes, really everything, the look of this film just looked absolutely amazing, especially when you go back to the 1960s. I thought they did a great job of, transporting you back to that period of time and, in London, or at least when I think of, London in the 1960s, that's kind of like what I see. And just like, the lighting, definitely a lot of reds and blues in there. Everything about this film looked absolutely amazing. And one of the reasons why I think seeing it in Dolby too was a great experience, because it just really highlighted those things a little bit more for me as well. I think both the performances from our main characters in this film, because, you do have some other kind of characters in the movie as well, obviously, but our main characters of Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Sandy, and then Thomasin McKenzie, who plays Eloise in the film, I thought they were just both great in these roles. Thomasin McKenzie plays Eloise, and I thought that just, her character was really relatable because, when we meet her, she's someone who has, these really big dreams of being like a fashion designer. And, she's obsessed with, the 1960s. And so she gets accepted, into one of her schools that she really wanted to go to, which is in Soho. So she ends up going there. And, initially, things are, going well for her. But she kind of gets, put into a situation where she doesn't really feel, comfortable. And so that's why she ends up moving to where she does. And that's where she ends up encountering, Sandy for the first time. And almost kind of becomes, obsessed with her because, she's from the 60s. She's a singer and all these different things. And that's kind of where we get that aspect of the film. But yeah, I just thought that, she brought this really relatable quality to her. You learn a little bit about her, her history with her family and some mental illness and stuff like that. And so I just thought that she really brought a lot to this role. And it was something that I was like, you know what, I can really relate that, because I'm not myself. I'm not a person that's I'm definitely, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I'm not someone that necessarily goes out and just parties all the time. So I could really kind of see myself in this character, in certain situations. So that really kind of sucked me into, into her role. And we also have Anya Taylor-Joy, she plays Sandy. She's from the 60s, and we find out that, she also had big dreams, similar to Eloise, except Sandy wanted to be a singer. And it's interesting too, because I had read an interview with Edgar Wright where he was talking about that initially Anya Taylor-Joy was actually supposed to, or she was going to play the character of Eloise initially, but he ended up, he actually, told Anya, is hey, I actually got this role of Sandy instead. And now watching the film, I completely understand why, because, again, I'm a big Anya Taylor-Joy fan. So, but she just kind of has this timeless beauty about her that she can almost fit into, I feel almost decade you could put her in and she would fit right there. And so she has that quality where it's yep, I can see her fitting in perfectly, where she's this singer and, she wants to be the singer and she's from the 60s. So I don't know, she fit perfectly with that role. So I think that was, was a great decision, great casting. But yeah, both of them overall, great performances. I really enjoyed too how the overall story of Last Night in Soho, it kind of tackles the theme of how sometimes, people, and, I'm guilty of it, probably myself as well, but sometimes people can romanticize the past a little bit, especially if you, necessarily, if you weren't in that particular, like, decade or, time period. We kind of think like, oh, wow, that looks like it was a lot of fun. But when in fact, things were probably a lot different and could be a lot darker than what you were expecting. So I really like that overall, theme to, like, this story in this film. And obviously being a big horror fan, myself, I really appreciated that, with Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright, there's a lot of thriller and horror elements, to this film for sure. Now, I would say to preface this, if you guys are kind of going into this not really, knowing what to expecting, that it's not something that I would say is, like, scary. I never in the film found myself to be, like, terrified or anything like that. But there definitely is, I would say, some creepy, images and things that happen throughout the film that were definitely, unsettling and had, like, a creepy vibe to them. Just not, like, I don't know, like your typical, like, horror movie, I would say. But there definitely is some creepy images and stuff. And that, just, like, the lighting, certain things that happen, being a horror fan, I really appreciated that. And I would say, so if you haven't seen the trailers or anything like that, or if you've only seen, like, the one trailer, definitely go into this thing, as blind as possible. And I know I probably tend to say that a lot. And honestly, that's probably, for the most part, I try and maybe, like, watch one trailer and then, like, avoid everything else, because a lot of times that is the best experience, just going in as blind as possible. I know some people want to have spoilers and stuff like that, but I think going into this movie and not knowing, because there is, like, some twists and turns in there, and I kind of thought I had an idea of, where they were kind of going as far as, this one particular twist in the movie goes, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I think this is where they're going, and sure enough, nope, not at all, and kind of ended up, like, flipping that on its head, and I really enjoyed the twist. And actually there was, like, some people that were, next to me and my friend, and I just remember hearing one of them, they were like, no fucking way. So you can tell that they definitely enjoyed the twist as well. And, kind of like what I said in the beginning of the review as well. So seeing this in Dolby, I think, was a really fun experience because, just like the visuals, there's some shots and stuff in here that are, absolutely incredible. It's Edgar Wright, so that's to be expected. But yeah, there is some, just like the cinematography, the way everything looks in this film is absolutely amazing. The colors, and I think Dolby really helped bring that out. The soundtrack, the score, and everything. It just really was like a completely different experience than what you would get if you just, went to, like, a normal theater, I think. So I was really glad that I got to experience that. So if you guys do have the chance or the opportunity, I would say check it out in Dolby if you can, because I thought that added to the experience for me for sure. So overall, guys, Edgar Wright delivers a wild, trippy ride with Last Night in Soho, which is highlighted by great performances with Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie. I highly recommend you guys check this one out. As far as the score goes, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Like I said, there was a lot of elements to this that I really enjoyed. I thought, really good performances from both our main characters. Like I said, I really kind of found there was, like, elements with, Eloise's character where it's like I can totally see myself, like, in that situation. So maybe that's why this film maybe is resonating, a little bit more with me. Plus you got my girl, Anya Taylor-Joy in the film as well. So, I mean, that definitely always helps. But yeah, some of the visuals, I can't wait to check this thing out again, because there are certain shots in this film where I was just like, holy shit. And, like, some of the stuff is definitely, pretty trippy. There was moments where I was just like, whoa, like, what is going on here? So, yeah, I if you can't tell, I had a blast with this movie. I can't wait to check it out again. And it's funny because, like, looking at, like, I was a little worried because I did look at the Rotten Tomato scores, before going into it, and I saw that had, like, a 70. I try not to listen to, pay attention to that too much, but I was a little nervous because I was like, oh no, this is, like, one of my most anticipated movies of the year. But yeah, I ended up having a ball with this thing, so I hope you guys do, too, when you get a chance to see it as well. And, when you guys do, I definitely want to hear your thoughts. So let me know what your thoughts are overall down below in the comments. Was this a movie that you were looking forward to at the beginning of the year like me? Or was this something that you were going into kind of blind? And just, like, yeah, what are your thoughts overall? So definitely let me know down below in the comments. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.
You can't save me.